Aegon Targaryen, a name whispered with awe and fear. He came from Dragonstone, an island fortress. With him, fire and blood. His ambition? To conquer Westeros. 7 kingdoms to be made one, under the banner of the Targaryens, under the roar of dragons. Aegon was no ordinary conqueror. He had dragons. Balerion, the Black Dread, the largest, most fearsome of them all. Meraxes and Vhagar, swift and deadly. These were not mere beasts. They were weapons of mass destruction. Aegon, astride Balerion, was nearly a god. He landed on the eastern shore, ready to claim his prize. News of Aegon's landing spread like wildfire. Panic, fear, uncertainty. The 7 kingdoms had been independent for centuries, ruled by kings with their own ambitions, their own rivalries. Now, a common enemy. 2 kings in particular took notice. King Mern IX of the Reach, the most powerful of the kings. King Loren I of the Rock, proud and stubborn. They saw Aegon as a threat to their rule, to their very existence.
We must unite, Loren. This Dragon Lord threatens everything we've built.
I agree, Mern. Our armies combined, we can crush him before he gains a foothold.
An alliance was formed, unlikely but necessary. Their combined armies, vast and formidable. They marched to meet Aegon, to crush him before he gained a foothold. They believed in their numbers. They underestimated the dragon's fire. Aegon's own forces were smaller, less experienced. But he had the dragons and a keen strategic mind. He knew he couldn't win a war of attrition. He had to be swift, decisive. He chose his battles carefully, using Balerion's fire to devastating effect, burning enemy troops, shattering their morale.
We strike their supply lines, Rhaenys. Keep them guessing.
Yes, sister, isolated units will be easy prey.
His sisters Visenya and Rhaenys were also formidable dragon riders. They harassed enemy supply lines, attacked isolated units, creating chaos and confusion. The Reach and the Rock were unprepared for this kind of warfare. Their armies, vast but slow, were easy targets. The 2 armies met on a wide, open plain. The Field of Fire, it would be called. The sun was high, the air thick with tension. King Mern, confident in his numbers, ordered a charge. A wave of steel and flesh against Aegon's smaller force. But Aegon was ready.
Forward, crush them under our might.
Balerion rose into the sky, a shadow against the sun, a roar that shook the very ground, and then fire. Rivers of flame engulfed the battlefield. Thousands of men burned. King Mern, surrounded by his burning guard, perished in the inferno.
Retreat, fall back, we cannot withstand this.
King Loren, witnessing the carnage, knew the battle was lost. He retreated with what remained of his army. The Field of Fire broke the back of the resistance. The Reach, leaderless and shattered, surrendered. Aegon, ever the pragmatist, accepted their submission. He spared the defeated, took their castle, and claimed their kingdom. He showed mercy to those who bent the knee. The other kingdoms watched in fear. Some, like the Westerlands, chose to fight on. Others, like the Vale, saw the futility of resistance and surrendered. The Iron Throne, forged from the swords of his enemies, became the symbol of Aegon's rule, a reminder of the dragon's fire, the power that lay behind his words. The North, however, was different, a vast, unforgiving land, ruled by House Stark for millennia. They had not faced Aegon in the Field of Fire. They had not seen the full might of his dragons. Torrhen Stark, the king in the north, gathered his banners. He prepared to meet Aegon in battle, to defend his kingdom. But his advisors prevailed. They had heard tales of the south, of the fiery doom that awaited those who stood against Aegon. Torrhen, though a warrior at heart, was no fool. He chose diplomacy over bloodshed. He rode south and bent the knee. Aegon, impressed by his sense, confirmed him as Warden of the North.
The Dornish defiance, unbowed, unbent, unbroken.
Dorne, the southernmost kingdom, proved to be a different challenge. A land of deserts and mountains, fiercely independent, ruled by House Martell. They would not yield so easily. They used guerrilla tactics, hit-and-run raids, exploiting their knowledge of the terrain.
Aegon's dragons were less effective in this war. The Dornishmen were elusive. Their castles, built to withstand the desert heat, were resistant to dragonfire.
Rhaenys Targaryen, attempting to flush out the Dornish lords, met her end in Dorne. Her dragon, Meraxes, was brought down. The seeds of rebellion, the price of conquest. Aegon's conquest was swift, brutal, but not without its costs. The realm was united, but not at peace. Many resented Targaryen rule. They yearned for the old ways, the old kings. Rebellions flared up, put down with ruthless efficiency. But the seeds of discontent had been sown. Aegon, the conqueror, had become Aegon, the king. He had to learn to rule, to balance the demands of his new subjects, to maintain the peace he had forged in fire and blood. His reign, though long and prosperous, would be marked by challenges. The legacy of his conquest, a double-edged sword. Rule. Conclusion. The reign begins, but at what cost? Aegon the Conqueror, the first of his name. He united Westeros. He brought peace, but at what cost? Thousands perished in his wars. Kingdoms were shattered. Families torn apart. His legacy is complex, a mix of greatness and brutality. He was a conqueror, yes, but also a builder, a king who left an indelible mark on the history of Westeros. His reign was just the beginning. The story of the Targaryens, a tale of fire and blood, had only just begun. Their dynasty, forged in conquest, would rule for generations. But their grip on power, like the flames of a dragon, could be fickle, prone to both magnificence and destruction. Pause 3S. Conclusion. The reign begins, but at what cost? Aegon the Conqueror, the first of his name, he united Westeros. He brought peace, but at what cost? Thousands perished in his wars. Kingdoms were shattered, families torn apart. His legacy is complex, a mix of greatness and brutality. He was a conqueror, yes, but also a builder, a king who left an indelible mark on the history of Westeros. His reign was just the beginning. The story of the Targaryens, a tale of fire and blood, had only just begun. Aegon's conquest left an indelible mark on Westeros. His legacy, both feared and revered, shaped the future of the realm. The Dragon's Fire forged a new era, one that would be remembered for generations.